The way you wake up is the first discipline of the day, because before you speak to anyone, before the world places its demands on you, you are already teaching your mind how it will behave for the next 24 hours. Waking up is not a neutral act, it is a moment of instruction. In that moment, the mind is soft, impressionable, and quick to fall back into habit. If you allow it to drift, complain, or negotiate, it learns that comfort has authority. If you guide it with awareness, it learns that clarity leads. Most people believe mornings are about how they feel. If they feel rested, they move. If they feel tired, they delay. This habit quietly trains dependence on emotion. Over time, the mind begins to wait for permission from comfort before taking action. This is why discipline must begin the instant you wake up, not later in the day. The body may be tired, but tiredness is not an order. It is information. Awareness allows you to receive that information without being ruled by it. Negotiation in the morning is the most dangerous conversation you can have with yourself. One extra minute, one delayed action, one excuse spoken internally creates a pattern of hesitation. The mind learns that decisions are optional. When that pattern repeats daily, it shows up everywhere, in work, in relationships, in personal growth. What you practice in the first minutes of the day becomes the default response under pressure. Mornings are not meant for emotional processing. Emotions will arise naturally throughout the day, and they deserve attention at the right time. But when you wake up, your task is not to analyze how you feel about life. Your task is to establish order. Order does not require emotion. It requires structure. Structure is calming. When the mind knows what comes next, it relaxes into action. Awareness is the foundation of this structure. To wake up aware means noticing your breath before your thoughts take over, noticing your posture before your body collapses back into the bed, noticing the impulse to reach for distraction without immediately obeying it. These small moments of observation create space between stimulus and response. In that space, discipline is born. Training awareness in the morning is like sharpening a blade before using it. The sharper the awareness, the less force is required later. A dull mind needs motivation, noise, and pressure to move. A trained mind moves quietly and efficiently. This is why calm mornings produce strong days, even when circumstances are difficult. Intention gives direction to awareness. Without intention, awareness remains passive. Intention answers the question, what kind of person am I practicing being today? This is not a motivational slogan or an emotional affirmation. It is a practical orientation. It might be as simple as deciding to move with patience, to speak less, to act with precision, or to complete one essential task without avoidance. Clear intention prevents scattered energy. Structure supports intention. When your morning has a fixed sequence, wake, breathe, move, prepare, you reduce the need for decision-making. Decision fatigue weakens discipline. The fewer choices you make in the morning, the stronger your focus becomes. Structure is not restriction, it is protection against chaos. Many people resist structure because they believe it removes freedom. In reality, structure creates freedom by preserving mental energy. When you do not waste attention deciding what to do next, you can invest that attention into doing it well. This is especially important early in the day, when the mind is forming its rhythm. Emotion in the morning is unreliable. Some days you wake up motivated, some days heavy, some days distracted. If your behavior depends on emotion, your life becomes inconsistent. Discipline removes this instability. You act because it is time to act, not because it feels good to act. This does not mean suppressing emotion or becoming rigid. It means placing emotion in its proper role. Emotion is feedback, not leadership. When emotion leads, life becomes reactive. When awareness leads, emotion becomes information that can be observed and integrated without control. The first action after waking should be deliberate. It sets the tone. Standing up immediately with awareness tells the mind that hesitation is unnecessary. Breathing deeply tells the nervous system that there is no emergency. Simple physical order, making the bed, washing the face, aligning posture, grounds the body in the present moment. Over time, these actions train self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you see evidence of follow-through. Trust is not built through promises, it is built through repeated, quiet action. When you trust yourself, confidence no longer depends on external validation. The way you wake up also determines how you meet resistance later. If you train yourself to move despite discomfort in the morning, resistance loses its power during the day. Challenges are no longer signals to stop. They become signals to apply what you have trained. Mornings are a laboratory. They reveal how you relate to effort, discomfort, and responsibility. If you avoid yourself in the morning, you will avoid challenges later. If you meet yourself with clarity, you will meet life with steadiness. This is why mornings are not for negotiation. Negotiation implies doubt. Discipline implies decision. Once the decision is made, energy flows. The mind relaxes because uncertainty has been removed. When awareness, structure, and intention are trained daily, waking up becomes an act of leadership. You lead your mind before the world tries to lead it for you. This is not dramatic or visible to others, but it changes everything. The day does not need you to feel ready. It needs you to be ready. And readiness begins the moment your eyes open. Readiness before motivation is a principle that challenges how most people believe change begins. Many wait for a feeling of inspiration before they act, assuming that energy must come first and action will follow. In reality, this pattern keeps people stuck. Feelings are unstable, influenced by sleep, environment, memories, and external pressure. If action depends on mood, progress becomes accidental rather than intentional. Readiness is different. Readiness is a state you choose, not a feeling you wait for. To be ready means you have already accepted responsibility for what must be done. Responsibility removes hesitation. When something is clearly your responsibility, the mind stops asking whether you want to do it and starts asking how to do it. This shift alone saves enormous mental energy. You are no longer negotiating with yourself, you are preparing yourself. Clarity is the foundation of readiness. Without clarity, the mind becomes scattered, jumping between options, doubts, and distractions. Clarity does not require knowing every step of the journey. It requires knowing the next correct action. When the next action is clear, the body can move even if the emotions are uncertain. Confusion delays movement, clarity invites it. Motivation often appears dramatic, but it is unreliable. It comes and goes without warning. People who rely on motivation experience bursts of effort followed by long periods of stagnation. Those who train readiness experience steady progress. Steadiness may not feel exciting, but it is powerful. Over time, steady effort outperforms intense but inconsistent action. Readiness also comes from alignment with purpose. Purpose does not need to be grand or emotional. It can be practical and quiet. Purpose answers the question, why does this action matter? When actions are connected to purpose, resistance weakens. Even when you do not feel inspired, you understand the value of what you are doing, and that understanding supports movement. Mood is temporary. Purpose is stable. When mood leads, direction constantly changes. When purpose leads, direction remains firm, even when the path is difficult. This is why readiness must be built on purpose rather than emotion. Emotion responds to comfort. Purpose responds to meaning. Many people misunderstand readiness as confidence. Confidence is not required to begin. Confidence is often the result of beginning and seeing yourself persist. Waiting to feel confident delays growth. Readiness accepts uncertainty. It does not demand assurance. It says, I will act and I will adjust as I go. Responsibility strengthens readiness by removing excuses. Excuses protect comfort, but they weaken character. When you take responsibility for your actions, circumstances lose their power to control you. You stop blaming time, energy, or other people. You recognize that even limited effort is still effort, and effort compounds. Readiness also involves accepting discomfort as part of the process. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something new is being trained. When you expect comfort before action, discomfort feels like failure. When you expect discomfort as part of training, it loses its emotional weight. This mindset transforms how you approach work, learning, and self-discipline. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "What is required of me right now?" This question shifts focus from self-centered emotion to task-centered awareness. The result is efficiency and calm. Alignment with purpose also helps you prioritize. When you know why something matters, you are less distracted by what does not. Readiness includes the ability to say no to unnecessary actions so that essential actions receive your full attention. Scattered effort weakens readiness. Focused effort strengthens it. Over time, acting from readiness builds self-trust. Each time you act without needing emotional permission, you prove to yourself that you are capable of directing your behavior. This trust is deep and stable. It does not disappear when things go wrong. It grows stronger through challenge. Motivation often arrives after action has already begun. Movement creates momentum. Momentum creates energy. Energy is then mistaken for motivation. But the source was action, not feeling. When you understand this sequence, you stop waiting and start preparing. Preparation is practical. It involves organizing your environment, setting clear priorities, and removing unnecessary friction. A prepared environment supports readiness. When tools are ready and distractions are limited, the mind encounters fewer obstacles to action. Readiness also requires humility. You accept that you may not perform perfectly, but you begin anyway. Perfectionism delays readiness by demanding ideal conditions. Readiness works with real conditions. It understands that improvement happens through repetition, not perfection. When readiness becomes a habit, motivation becomes less important. You still experience motivation, but you no longer depend on it. Motivation becomes a bonus rather than a requirement. This independence is a form of freedom. Life rarely offers perfect conditions. Waiting for them means waiting indefinitely. Readiness meets life as it is, not as you wish it to be. It says, "This is enough to begin." That attitude turns ordinary moments into opportunities for growth. In the end, readiness is a quiet strength. It does not announce itself. It shows up through consistent action, calm decision-making, and steady progress. When clarity guides you, responsibility anchors you, and purpose directs you, you do not need inspiration to start. You are already ready. Inner order creates outer strength because the quality of your actions is always a reflection of the state of your mind. Strength is often misunderstood as force, intensity, or aggression, but true strength begins as clarity. When the mind is chaotic, the body becomes wasteful. Movements lose precision, energy is scattered, and effort increases without corresponding results. When the mind is ordered, action becomes efficient. Less energy is wasted and more power is expressed. An ordered inner state does not mean the absence of thoughts. It means that thoughts are observed, organized, and placed in their proper position. The mind naturally produces ideas, memories, and impulses. Disorder occurs when these impulses pull you in different directions at once. Order occurs when awareness chooses what deserves attention and what can be released. This choice is the root of self-mastery. Calm is not weakness. Calm is stability. A calm mind is not passive. It is prepared. When the mind is calm, perception sharpens. You see situations as they are, not as your emotions color them. This accuracy allows decisive action, and decision is rarely caused by lack of information. It is caused by internal conflict. When inner conflict is reduced, decisions become clear. Early in the day, the mind is most receptive to training. If you allow disorder at this stage, rushing, distraction, emotional reactivity, it sets a pattern that carries forward. The nervous system learns urgency, and the body remains tense even when there is no immediate threat. Over time, this tension drains strength. When you establish calm early, you teach the nervous system that it can move with control rather than panic. Precision in the body follows clarity in the mind. When your attention is stable, your movements become deliberate. You place your feet more carefully, you breathe more fully, and your posture naturally aligns. This alignment allows energy to move freely. Tension blocks energy, order directs it. Physical strength without alignment leads to injury. Strength with alignment becomes sustainable. Outer strength is visible through consistency. Anyone can act powerfully for a short moment under emotional charge. Few can act steadily over time. Steady action requires an inner system that is not constantly reacting. When the mind is ordered, you do not need to push yourself aggressively. You simply move forward step by step, maintaining form. An ordered inner state also protects against distraction. Distraction fragments attention, and fragmented attention weakens execution. When attention is scattered, even simple tasks become exhausting. When attention is unified, complex tasks become manageable. This is why people with calm minds often appear capable even under pressure. They are not doing more, they are wasting less. Inner order is built through routine and awareness. Repetition of simple conscious actions trains the mind to stay present. Over time, this presence becomes the default state. You no longer need to force focus, it arises naturally. This is when effort transforms into flow. Outer challenges test inner order. When pressure increases, the mind tends to revert to habit. If the habit is disorder, stress amplifies confusion. If the habit is order, stress sharpens performance. This is why training calmness in quiet moments is essential. You cannot improvise calm under pressure. You can only express what you have trained. Energy follows attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. An ordered mind directs attention intentionally, conserving energy for what matters. A disordered mind leaks energy into worry, regret, and anticipation. These mental activities consume strength without producing action. Calm awareness redirects energy back into the present task. Decisive action requires trust in your perception. When the mind is settled, you trust what you see and feel. Doubt decreases because perception is clearer. This trust allows quick, accurate decisions. Hesitation fades because there is less internal noise competing for control. Inner order also influences communication. When your thoughts are organized, your words become precise. You speak less but say more. This clarity strengthens leadership and cooperation. People respond to calm authority more than emotional force. Calm carries weight because it signals control. The body responds immediately to inner order. Breathing deepens, heart rate stabilizes, and muscles release unnecessary tension. These physiological changes increase endurance and responsiveness. Strength is no longer about pushing harder but about moving smarter. Many people attempt to create outer strength through intensity alone, long hours, constant effort, relentless pressure. Without inner order, this approach leads to burnout. Inner order allows sustainable effort. You can apply strength repeatedly without depletion because energy is managed, not forced. When the mind is settled early, the day unfolds differently. Challenges are met with curiosity rather than resistance. Obstacles become tasks rather than threats. This shift preserves energy and supports long-term growth. Inner order does not require isolation or silence from the world. It requires silence within the response. The world can remain noisy, unpredictable, and demanding. Order exists in how you meet it. This is true strength. Over time, inner order becomes a stable foundation. Even when emotions rise, they do not overthrow clarity. Even when fatigue appears, form remains. This stability allows the body to express strength naturally without excess strain. Outer strength built on inner order is quiet but unmistakable. It shows in posture, in movement, in decision-making, and in resilience. When the mind is calm and ordered, the body follows with precision and energy, and effort transforms into capability. Daily repetition shapes character because character is not created in moments of intensity, but in patterns of behavior repeated when no one is watching. What you do once may reflect your potential, but what you do daily reveals who you are becoming. Each morning offers a small window where habits are reinforced or reshaped. In that quiet time before the demands of the world arrive, your repeated actions begin to write your identity. Most people overestimate the power of dramatic change and underestimate the power of small, consistent action. They wait for a turning point, believing that one decision will transform their life. In reality, transformation happens gradually through repetition. Each repeated action strengthens a pathway in the mind. Over time, these pathways become automatic, guiding behavior with little effort. Morning repetition is especially powerful because the mind is not yet crowded. The habits practiced at this time sink deeper. When you repeat a conscious action in the morning, you are not just completing a task. You are training your response to life. You are teaching yourself how to begin, how to handle discomfort, and how to follow through. Character is often described as what you do when faced with difficulty. Daily repetition prepares you for those moments. When you practice discipline in small ways each morning, you build the capacity to stay steady under pressure. You learn that discomfort does not require avoidance. This lesson becomes part of you. Resilience is not a personality trait, it is a trained response. Each time you choose to act despite resistance, you strengthen resilience. Morning routines often include actions that are slightly uncomfortable. Getting up on time, moving the body, focusing the mind. These actions are not meant to exhaust you. They are meant to remind you that you are capable of directing yourself. Discipline grows the same way muscles do, through repeated use. One disciplined action does not make you disciplined. Repeating disciplined actions daily does. Over time, discipline becomes less effortful because the mind recognizes the pattern. What once required force begins to feel natural. Self-trust is a quiet outcome of repetition. Every time you do what you said you would do, even in a small way, you reinforce trust in yourself. When this happens daily, self-trust becomes stable. You no longer rely on motivation or external validation to feel capable. You have evidence. Many people struggle with self-doubt, not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. Broken promises to oneself weaken confidence. Daily repetition repairs this damage slowly and reliably. Each completed action, no matter how small, restores integrity. Conscious repetition is important. Mindless repetition builds habit, but conscious repetition builds character. When you are aware of why you are acting, the action carries meaning. Meaning deepens commitment. Commitment sustains repetition. Small actions are effective because they are manageable. Large goals often trigger fear and avoidance. Small actions bypass resistance. When repeated daily, they accumulate into significant change. The mind begins to associate progress with calm effort rather than stress. Morning repetition also stabilizes identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who starts the day with intention. This identity influences choices later in the day. You are less likely to abandon standards you have already upheld. One good action encourages another. Daily repetition teaches patience. Results do not appear immediately, and this tests the ego. Learning to repeat without immediate reward trains humility and perseverance. These qualities strengthen character far beyond the specific habit itself. Over time, repeated actions shape values. What you practice becomes what you respect. If you practice presence, you value awareness. If you practice discipline, you value effort. Values are not taught through words alone. They are taught through action. Repetition also simplifies decision-making. When actions become routine, you conserve mental energy. This energy can then be used for creativity, problem-solving, and growth. Character includes the ability to manage energy wisely. Daily repetition creates a sense of order. Order reduces anxiety because the mind knows what to expect. This stability supports emotional regulation. When emotions fluctuate, routine provides grounding. Resilience grows not by avoiding difficulty but by meeting it consistently. Each morning you practice facing mild resistance. You prepare yourself for greater challenges. The mind learns that effort is survivable and even empowering. Over months and years, the accumulation of small actions becomes visible. People may call it confidence, discipline, or strength, but its source is repetition. The work was done quietly, daily, without spectacle. Character formed this way is durable. It does not collapse under pressure because it was built under ordinary conditions. It does not depend on mood because it was practiced regardless of feeling. Who you become is not decided by your intentions, but by your repetitions. Each morning you are given the chance to reinforce or revise your character. Small, conscious actions practiced daily do not just improve performance, they shape who you are.